We're here with Phan, and we're going to talk about bluffing, specifically in cash games. Now, Tim, you play a lot of cash games. You're known for your aggressive play. What factors go into you making a bluff?
All depends which game we're playing.
Well, let's start with Hold'em.
In Hold'em, it depends how high we're playing. Everything factors in when I do something like that. It depends on the blinds, the table, the game.
Well, what about you're playing in the big game?
The big game, there's not a lot of bluffing.
There's not a lot
because
of bluffing.
we play with like a 75,000 cap, and since the blinds are as big as they are,
You'll get
one
called
person
down.
raises, another person comes over the top, and it's usually like a coin flip. So there's not really a lot of bluffing in there. But if we play in just Hold'em, that's what it is. But in PLO, it's probably Omaha High.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Why is there more bluffing in that game?
Because they play without the cap. They play without the cap, and there's like so many different things you can do there. It's really
So how do you
really
decide
tricky.
when to execute it?
Well, first you have to gauge the opponent first, and if they have a tendency to fold or not. There's certain guys that will bluff, and you have to allow them bluff to pick them off. And the game is just so intricate when you play it that high. When you play it small, it's okay, but when you play it high, it's really tough.
So what mistakes do you think inexperienced players make when they try and make a bluff? Maybe a lower limit game.
It's probably this. They probably make the mistakes that certain scenarios you just can't get away with, and when it's a low limit, the dollar amount is not enough to fluster anybody. You can't make anybody nervous with a small amount of money. Right, so it's the big limits where it is, but the smallest I would advise against bluffing, just trying to make something, pick up some money.
So at what level do you think bluffing comes into play, and then when does it fade out again?
At what level? It depends. I mean, even in a moderate game like 5-10 blinds, I mean, bluffing could be a strong asset if you know how. But it's all like you got to see how much you have in front of you, how much he has in front of him. I mean, there's a lot of things that come into play. How he plays the hand, how at a certain point of the hand, which it seems like he did, whether he has it or he doesn't have it. Does he have a tendency to fold? Does he have a tendency to bet and then fold? Does he just want to get valued and if he gets raised then fold?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things you have to analyze. It's not just one set of rules to bluff.
Yeah. Well, what about if you get caught making a bluff? Should you wait for a while before you do that again, or?
Wait for a while to do it again. Me personally, I generally make one bluff in between.
In between what?
In between, I'll make one bluff and make one payoff.
All right.
Keep them on their toes. I'll sometimes make two bluffs back to back because they think, how can you do it back to back? Right, but you rarely see me making three bluffs.
So what mistakes do you think high stakes players make when they're trying to bluff? Is it different than low stakes players?
When high stakes players make bluffs, a lot of high stakes players don't make a mistake when they bluff. Most of the time, when they make that bluff, it's pretty well thought out. Whether it worked or not, it depends on the other guy. If the other guy had him figured out. But a bluff in a high stakes game is pretty well thought out.
So how did you develop your game? How can you learn to bring bluffing into your games?
Well, you have to have it in your arsenal. It's all part of the game, and it's a big asset when you're playing big bet poker. I mean, for you not to be able to bluff, you should just like play smaller blinds, deeper stacks. But you have to be. No, I always had it. I can get away with it more now than I've learned. I've learned a little bit more about the no limit, like the big bet aspect of the game. But it's just really tough not to do it. I get caught all the time. But getting caught, I get paid off a lot more too from getting caught.
That's true. So how do you pick someone else off? When what tells do you look for?
Well, it could be a lot of things. I mean, in the really high stakes, I just pray sometimes. Sometimes I just pray. Maybe there's a hand where I just can't fold this hand. I hope he doesn't bet too much. And if he bets the right number, then I'll call. And if he bets above that number, then I'll just fold.
Yeah, you make that decision sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes the decision's already predetermined. Regardless of what the river hits, or I'll say if this card hits and he does something, he wins it. A lot of times I'll have the decision on the turn right away to know what I'm going to do because it's just a lot of money sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of money. I once heard Billy Baldwin call $1 million with the nuts, and they want to raise it just to see what the other guy has. It's just really tough when they bet those kind of numbers.
So how do you control your physical tells when you're making a bluff? What do you do? Do you do a set thing?
Physical tells?
Yeah.
In like in cash games?
Yeah.
Some guys are really comfortable with bluffing. It's hard to tell if some guys bluff it. Other one, you can see, some people will get nervous. They'll get antsy, and they'll fumble a little bit here and there. They'll their eyes will flutter. They'll look up and down more often than they should, or something. There's a lot of little things that
What
they
about
do.
the look away? What do you think of the look away?
The look away, I give it no regard at all.
No regard.
It's like so many people trying to throw you off by doing different things. But sometimes I just don't look at him at all. I just break the hand down to what he's been doing and what he's doing right now. Does it make sense for him to do what he does? If it makes sense, I'll probably just throw it away. If it doesn't make sense, I'll probably pay it off.
That makes sense. So let's talk about tournament poker for a second. Is bluffing a bigger part of tournament poker than it is cash games? In your opinion?
It depends on what stage.
Yeah.
Early stage, I think bluffing is good. I don't recommend bluffing too much in the late stages.
Why's that?
Because in early stages, people are afraid of that playing a big pot too soon, and they say, okay, he might have something big, and I have a good hand, but do I really want to commit most of my chips to this pot now when I got a whole tournament to play?
Yeah.
So you can pick off some chips. You can get some chips early in the tournament. And in the end stages, where a lot of people like to push in, depending on the blind structure and everything, you make that bluff, and you're just going to start eating away at your stack. I like to do it early and in the middle, and not so much at the end. At the end, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have it.
So if an inexperienced player came up to you and they said, Tim, every time I bluff, I get picked off. How should I do it better? What am I doing wrong? What would you tell them?
It all depends how he gets picked off. I would have to observe his play.
Watch him play.
Yeah, like I'm probably going to see maybe one or two things that he's doing wrong. If he's always getting picked off, he's doing multiple things wrong. So
what do you think are some common mistakes?
Common mistakes? Probably like bet amounts.
Yeah.
You have to be able to fluctuate your bet amounts. Sometimes bet it big, over bet it. Sometimes bet it small. It makes it seem like value, and you gotta keep them on the toes. If people always know where you're at, they're gonna know. You gotta keep them guessing a little bit.